how will the suspension of the detainee release by Hamas affect the ongoing ceasefire negotiations and the overall conflict dynamics?
Yes, I think that the idea of thinking of not releasing the captives is a call for the mediators. Upon the statement of Benjamin Netanyahu or Donald Trump, that the latter has a discussion in the Israeli Knesset through which he talked about that he does not wish to move forward in the second phase of the deal. So either statement of both, in addition to the violations of the humanitarian protocol that are continued, that push the Palestinian resistance to some sort of a reef call or an SOS call that the ceasefire is about to be collapsed, that require the interventions of the videos to make Israel abide with the deal. And it is a signal of such a statement, either from the President of America or Benjamin Netanyahu, aren't pressuring the Palestinian side or change the rules of negotiation and impose a new reality of the second phase. So the resistance side is talking about, or based on strengths, and not to be conceived since February of 24, that affirming the political side of this agreement and the guarantee of the Israeli withdrawal and the return of the residents in the northern of Gaza as a part of the deal, and not only be an absolute humanitarian deal, even if Israel is not abide with the humanitarian protocol as is stipulated in the ceasefire deal.
Yes, well, so in what ways could Israel's continued military actions actually impact the international support for its stance on the Gaza conflict?
Israel is wishing for the collapse of the deal and the resumption of the war in the Gaza Strip. It's our sole pursuit and visions, but the guaranteed countries of the deal to use different pressuring cards in order to change this path and pressuring Israel by all the articles of the deal. And I think there is a main role starting by Egypt, one of the guarantees of the deal and the most close to the Gaza Strip, and will be affected of the violation of the deal through the other Arab countries that could constitute a pressure of Israel, and therefore to push the United States to sit back of the reckless statement of the violated of the international law.
Yes, well, what about the long-term potential consequences for both Israel and Hamas if the ceasefire actually ultimately fails?
Firstly, we do not wish to reach a state of the absolute collapse of the agreement, as the Palestinian society is fully committed of the success of the second phase and the third phase in reaching the reconstruction phase. And the fear of the resumption of the aggression in the Gaza Strip, and along with the allies of some countries to countermeasures of the aggressions. As previously, when the Yemen have blocked the navigation route that as a response of the Israeli violations of the Palestinian people and the continued assault on Gaza Strip. And I think that will sit back in the whole region in the Middle East in the case of the failure of the deal, considering that will take in the stability in the Middle East and push more countries to intervene in such a conflict for their national security and interest, and secondly for defending the Palestinian cause as a symbol of stability in the Middle East, and consider it for and foremost the first Arab cause.
Mr. Alnatsheh, now, do you think that the obstruction of humanitarian aid and the ongoing violence actually could affect the prospects for a sustainable deal and a sustainable ceasefire in Gaza and a resolution as a whole?
I think that the humanitarian part of the deal is in the main part relating to the access of entry into the machinery and the tents and the medical supplies, so will affect the return of the normalcy and re-establish of normalcy in the Gaza Strip, that there will be no possible life for these residents without the provision of the humanitarian service. Remain the deal with respect to the humanitarian aid, I meaning the control of Israeli on the access of delivery will cripple the life for the Palestinians and the stability in the Middle East, and does not go in line with the concept of the permanent ceasefire called upon by the United Nations as requested a permanent ceasefire and to move forward in the phase of reconstruction of the establishment of the Palestinian state, and not mentioned that the ceasefire for humanitarian purposes that are controlled by the occupied Israeli, that is going to be the responsible of the access. And I think this is a very funny approachment to offer the ceasefire for the Israeli forces kill the Palestinians as held responsible of the humanitarian aid as the Israeli side wishes to do so.